How's it going, guys? That Texan Collector here, and today we're going to be looking at this really cool late 1940s Emerson industrial or commercial grade pedestal fan. These are really cool air circulators that Emerson made for a really long time. I think they started in the early 1930s, but this style with this cage design and this blade was from, I want to say, late 1940s up into the mid 1950s, I think. They call these the elephant ear style because of this blade shape. These really big, almost flower petal like blades, which crank out a lot of air. I picked this fan up for about, I want to say it was $80 on Facebook Marketplace about 2 years ago, and it was in an old like 1930s church not far from my area, so that was really cool to pull that out of its original place where it came from. Has a little scuffs on the badge, but overall it's in really nice shape. When I got it, it was a bit dirty just from them using it, but it still worked perfectly fine. Though one thing though, as I'll mention, this switch is not original. Plus you can see there's like paint residue and stuff. I actually replaced this switch because this is the original switch over here. I was lucky enough to find the same model number of lavalier switch, a 450 for this fan, so it had all the same terminals. But I had to replace it. So obviously it's broken on the end, like the fan fell over towards the back and just destroyed it when it landed, because this thing is not light. But it's not in perfect shape, as you can see. I did pull the blade off and fully polish it with like aluminum polish, and it's a little bit dirty now compared to when it was first polished, but it's still really good looking. This thing cleaned up very nice, but of course it's not done. There's still some paint splotches there and some surface rust I still need to clean up, and trying to get this paint off this really cool wrinkle paint that these old Emerson fans did. But everything else cleaned up pretty nice. I still need to work on this, but that was a few years ago. This kind of has been a back burner project until this weekend. Actually, yesterday I did fully rewire the fan and replace the capacitor, because although it did work with its original hardware, I just didn't want to risk it if I'm going to use this thing pretty frequently in the hot weather. I didn't want, you know, this 77-year-old oil capacitor to just randomly pop and take the motor with it. But it still worked good, though I just wanted to be safe, so I replaced the capacitor and then redid the wiring and got rid of all that old asbestos cloth wiring that this thing has. I don't know if I mentioned it yet, but this thing is from 1948, which is really cool. This is like one of the earlier years of this style. But another cool thing, if you loosen these two screws right here on the column, this entire fan will lift up another one of that height up, so it'll be like up there, which is really cool. Especially like I saw pictures online of these or similar ones used in like steel foundries or like factories, and they're mounted way up high, just circulating the air in the big buildings. And that was pretty cool. The blade hub on these are really cool as well. The riveted blade faces on the round bullet style hub. These are overall just really cool fans. But back on topic to the switch, I was lucky enough to find, like I was saying, the same switch, and it works perfectly. So this is what it's supposed to look like, which is really nice. But oh yeah, and I put some like rubber fuel line just so it wouldn't rub up onto the column, because I mentioned it probably fell back during its time, some point in its life, but I also believe it fell forwards because this whole cage makes contact with the column. And I'm not sure yet if you can adjust these to tilt the whole fan head, but for now it works well for my application. But this fan still needs some attention, like I was saying. And it might need thrust washers. I'm not sure if these motors use thrust washers, but on the higher speeds, a little bit on low, but more on high, you'll hear it makes pretty considerate racket, but not bad for a fan of this age. So, and in this video, I'm not going to show the entire spin down, like a coast to the stop, because this blade set is pretty heavy with that hub, and the bearings are still pretty good, even though they make a little bit of noise. But anyway, it has like a 3-minute spin down, so I'm not going to show the full spin down in this video. I'm actually going to make a dedicated video to show that spin down of the fan, if you're interested in that. So for now, this video is already 6 minutes long, so we'll go ahead and fire it up, and then I'll show some of the spin down, but not all of it, and leave that for the next video. So this thing is a powerhouse, absolute powerhouse. So start it up on low. I don't think I mentioned it, but the fan is 2-speed. You see the tiny little wobble it has. That blade is still not perfectly balanced. When I polished it, I bent it a little bit and made it a lot better than it was. There's that thrust washer or shaft sound I was talking about. It's a lot more chaotic on high, and you still need to figure that out. I mainly use it on low speed too, because it still just chugs out air on low speed. Like, there's really no point in using high, in my opinion. The airflow. And now I will warn this of a noise sound warning, but here is high speed. Absolute monster. And we'll shut it off. But yeah, as you can hear, it makes a lot of racket on high speed. And here's the almost never-ending spin down. But yeah, this thing is really cool. I love it. It's honestly one of my top favorite fans of all time. I'm so lucky I got it for the price I got it, and it cleaned up this nice, because I've seen these in much, much worse shape. But that's basically it. I'll make the video for the full extended spin down if y'all are interested. You can check out that video next. But other than that, thanks for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one.